There's my dog. He's not as fast as a deer. Coming back from getting nowhere near to catching. It's nice for him to be able to race in this modern world. Not just be led around on a lead. Running wild in this tame landscape. Wild like the wind. It's just been a storm. Anyway, I'm going to say a few words and run the risk of sounding wild and not making sense, but trusting that there are those who will make lots of sense to. Basically, my morning's revelations these days is along the lines that since 2017 up until 2027 is like a 10-year period of transition within a greater period of transition. And me feeling as if this eclipse that's just been a couple of weeks ago is like a halfway point where the future is closer than the past was, and that since 2017 it was very noticeable that we were in a world where the goalposts had been changed around, where the left became right, where both extremes took over the centre. And then by 2019 it's all getting pretty crazy, with artificial intelligence becoming, machine learning becoming, the World Economic Forum telling everybody that they're going to disrupt society and wondering how they're going to do it, because they need to get everybody to sign up for having robots in their homes and working from home with a robot and having machine intelligence transform society through disruption and stuff, which quickly led into the COVID and the lockdowns and the injections. And everyone's already familiar with whichever side of that story or version of story they're on. But we're 5 years further down the road now. We're all in the new normal, and there's no going back to the old normal. And the extremes of left and right, the right is like conservatives who want to go back to the past, and the left are like extremists who want to fast forward into a future. And they're in mighty conflict with each other because both have lost their grounding, because the ground has been shaken beneath our feet, because we've all been digitized, and we are to some degree living in a digital world now. But with that eclipse, I think we have passed by a aperture. We've passed through the lens of the eye of a needle. We have gone through the black hole in the eye. All those kind of phrases. Phrases are going a bit wild for me these days, but the thing I'm trying to say as simply as possible is that all the many emerging, diverging ideas, the too many ideas are now flooding into our minds, and our minds are becoming so open to, and the large language model represents what's going on with the mind, where infinite amounts of information are getting processed, and it's all just too much, and we can't really figure out what's an hallucination and what's real. Is there any such thing as real? Surely more than one version of reality is existing at the same time, and it's like a pick and choose in the sweet shop. And those who are trying to control just can't control anymore. And yeah, all the extremes have their opposites. And so it's crazy. And yet, actually, for anyone who can accept how crazy it is, it's possible now to just be in stillness and allow oneself to handle one's own feelings, to find one's grounding again, to realize that one does indeed have an energy body while living in a physical world, that we do live in a duality, that there is a heaven on earth kind of thing, and there is a hell on earth kind of thing, and it's all a state of mind. And a state of mind is like a nation with a constitution, like a body has a constitution. A state of mind that has an organization, like Adam naming all the animals in the Garden of Eden organization. The what you see is what you believe versions of reality, and what we see is only a part of the spectrum, because there's the ultraviolet and the infrared, there's all the rest of what's going on, there's what could be seen in the darkness. We can't really see in the darkness, so does darkness mean there is no sight? Then how do we envisage a life from before we go into the womb, in order to enter into the womb, in order to be in that room for our 7, 8, 9, 10 months, to imagine a life that gets born when we breathe our first breath of inspiration and exhalation. So what was born is due to die, and this whole world of physicality, of civilization, civilization itself had a birth. We talk about the birth of civilization. Well, we may well now be in the death of civilization, because something else is occurring. What do you think, Shadow? Something else occurring in the current of life? A dog don't fucking care what I'm on about. I don't know if anyone else does either. Anyway, the thing that I'm saying is, what I'm finding is, I'm waking up from dreams these days, and what's going on in the dreams is so real. And yet what's going on in the dreams is a lot of stuff that's outside of what my personality knows. So it is me who's in the dream observing things, and I am waking up within the dream while still asleep. So I'm standing in the threshold between these two states of conscious and unconscious, or these four states of conscious, unconscious, subconscious, superconscious. And quintessentially there is a fifth state of being, kind of thing. And the word conscious becomes interesting, because I realize conscious just means this moment in time. And if this moment in time is filled with what I have in my mind of what I think I know, then what I think I know is blocking out everything else, so that I'm only seeing what I think I know, and I'm not sensing all the things that are outside, such as I'm not sensing what's going on in the electromagnetic spectrum that's beyond the physical sight. And I am so distracted by the physical sight, for example, of a police vehicle. I think, oh, look at that police vehicle. And I screen out everything else in order to follow that interesting thing and go, oh, I wonder what the story is there. Oh, now it's obscured from view. Well, that's a bit like Charlie Quirk, Kirk, circle. You're either in the inner circle and know what the hell that was all about, or you're outside the inner circle looking through the hedge to try and see what's going on over the wall and making guesses, for the wall is not translucent. Translucent, lucidity. The wall obscures what's going on in the inner circle, and we really don't know what's going on with Prince Charles, whether he really has cancer, and if he really is just taking the normal medicine that everyone else has, or whether he's faking it so they can bring in some new sort of transhuman digital double medicine nonsense with biometric impossible cures, or the things that Michael Levin is spearheading and transmitting to society through his YouTube and all these interviews and all that stuff. But the bit I'm getting around to by just spewing so many words, for I do recognise it is spewing so many words. The thing I'm saying is that we are overwhelmed. There are so many thoughts passing through the mind these days, and we used to be able to concentrate. That what I know is what I know, and what I know is all I need to know, and I learn things one at a time because everything is linear. But the linear is no longer true. So the image I get there is like, think of an hourglass with the sand trickling down. On the bottom half of the hourglass, it's one stream of sand. Yeah, it's one grain at a time passing through the aperture of the neck of the hourglass. Whereas now we're in the top half and it's all quicksand. Everything is quicksand. It's loads and 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 loads of future timelines are all streaming down toward that one point in the aperture, but we're now above that. We're like in the heaven being sucked in quicksand down into a future that hasn't happened yet. strange imagery, and maybe I should just leave it there. Yeah, so what I'm experiencing is dreams, and in the dreams it's modeling stuff that's outside of what I know, and yet there I am witnessing these dreams. So by what magic is my so-called consciousness of my so-called personality being able to be conscious in the dream? Something outside of my conscious is waking me up within the dream and getting me to witness what's going on in the dream. And these last 2 days especially, it's like being awake in the dream for like an hour, just witnessing, oh right, this stuff doesn't really have all that much to do with what's going on in my life, it's just weird scenes. And then suddenly in the dream, in this film that I'm immersed in, suddenly it's like the scenery is made really obvious that, hey, this is a construct, this is stuff that's outside of what you know. What's